Look, if you're building a team, you're in sales because you're selling people on action, taking action in a way that you know is best, in a way that's collaborative and your teammates are working together. So really, the recruiting is huge. Being able to recruit, attract the type of people you want representing you. It is amazing, like, if you're a high performer and you see a sales leader owner and this person's not really competent or has a clear path, doesn't seem like they have any attributes that you aspire to have, you don't believe in where they're going, and like they don't have a vision that's big, the high performer's not interested in you and your company. It's just a fact.
So, my man, Ryan, we were just in Phoenix, and we started a very interesting conversation. I watched a clip from a podcast that's hosted by 4 billionaires, and the clip was them just tearing apart the CEO of Starbucks. And he basically had said in this interview that he did that if something comes to him after 6 p.m., unless it's just really, really important, it's just going to have to wait because he's with his family.
To keep me away from the family. Anybody who gets a minute of time after that better be sure that it's important, because if not, it'll just wait for another day.
Holy I mean, retire, bruh. Just retire.
And it actually was an interesting piece because the dynamic of these 4 billionaires talking about this and basically like, this is the CEO of Starbucks. Like he can't have this balance thing. It's just too big of a company. He has too big of a role. And then they kind of went into this like idea of comfort inside of the workplace as opposed to this like performance workplace. And so I'm going to lead this into sales eventually because obviously this is what you do and performance is very associated to sales. But for you as a business owner, especially as a sales guy and someone who sees their family as an asset and a value, what do you think about that? About what he's doing and what do you do and how do you have this, the balance that everybody likes to think of. I'm not a big fan of the word balance. But what's your perspective on that for you?
Yeah, for me, I just seen, a trail of really, really driven, successful business people. I've seen just a very large trail of unsuccessful families. So if and years ago remember Ty Lopez? You remember him?
Oh yeah. He's still around.
He's still around. Yeah. I mean, he's doing different stuff. He's like, book an hour on my calendar, like on his ads. Anyway, I got his course and it was really good. He compiled so many cool like ideas. And one of the things he talked about was finding mentors and just like taking the thing you really love about a mentor and just not having to say, just because they're bad at something doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like take the thing you really like. And where I'm going with this is like, I love business. I am passionate about it and I love sales and I'm passionate about it, but I'm also more passionate about my family. Like I'm just not going to sign up just because so-and-so is passionate or successful in business and I like their success. Doesn't mean I'm going to sign up for everything that they're saying. And as I'm carving my own path, I see a path less taken, but I am seeing success in men and who are having success with business and family. And so my perspective is, if I don't have success with my family, nothing matters. I can be the most successful business person on the planet, but who really cares if my family isn't happy? So nobody cares. I don't care. So I think that's just like really, I got to check where my heart's motives are. What is my motivation? And then what am I truly bowing down to? Am I bowing down to the dollar? Am I bowing down to other people who can help influence the dollar? Or am I bowing down to my God, am I bowing down to Jesus and what his idea of family and fathering looks like and husbandry looks like? So at the end of the day, I have to choose who am I going to bow my knee to? And I have wrestled with that. And so on my journey, I'm like, I don't care. I am not going to place my trust in these things that'll influence business. I'm going to place my trust in my Heavenly Father because he is ultimately going to take my path. He's going to drive us. He's going to take us somewhere. He has it all in his hands. So really, I'm learning how to be humble in that I don't have it all figured out and I can't do anything all the time. And it's all going to work out better if I'm constantly working, because the belief is if I work more, we're more successful. And that's really important. And the fear is if I work less, I won't be successful. I mean, that's just if we brass tacks, it doesn't get more simpler than that. So what I have to do is, at this point, what I've learned through trust and going through, ups and downs, is that, I could be way more successful abiding and trusting in God and walk in loving my family and having unity and working as a team, marching forward in one accord, and working less by making moves that I never would have made maybe if I was working my tail off the whole time. I mean, I've wrestled with this a ton. And at the end of the day, I'd rather work less, but be in full one accord with my family and be bulletproof and be spiritually aligned. And my wife and I are on fire and we're loving it, and make moves from that place than to run really hard, crushing in business, and then try to reactively manage my family from that place. It's just, I'm telling you, the first guy is going to win. Like, if you're looking at long-term, what overall success looks like. And for me, overall success doesn't look like building the biggest, best brand in the world. There's a lot of people out there in the world, and I'm not going to fix everybody's problems. But what I sure as heck don't want to do is go on my own path. And so for me, it's just a journey of humility, walking with in lockstep with God, with my family. And then from that place, seeing that I can't take all the credit because I'm not doing all the work. So I look at my team. I look at all these other people that when people work there so hard on their own, they are very arrogant and credit takers. They're like, look what I did, because you did a lot of work. But when you start to go on a journey of I'm limited, I'm going to work within this frame, with this context, and you start to see the world improve in business around you because of others and because of circumstance, because of your family and their support and timing, you're not going to be as arrogant, and you're going to be very humble, and that's attractive. People, like, it's not even about people, it's just attractive in general. Humility is one of the rarest qualities. It's probably the one thing I've thought about for 10 years, and I'm still just starting to figure out what humility is, and I'm working on it. But that's a longer discussion. But I think that's kind of my answer to that. Like, you got to go down your own path. There's a pretty bloody one on the one that the 4 billionaires are talking about. There's one less traveled, and at the end of the day, who are you bowing your knee to? And I'm not going to sit there and close 1 million deals and look at my wife in the face and she's basically pissed, a perma-pissed faced. Like, I just don't want to live like that. Like, I've lived like that. I've done it. It's not fun. I'm not interested in that. And if I lost it all and paying child support, and I have somebody who just doesn't care how much I work and they're just along for the ride, but I'm crushing it, I don't think I'm winning. I think I've lost. That ain't going to happen. So
I see you running with intensity. And so I appreciate, kind of defining how that goes in the different areas of your life. Intensity, or we were just kind of talking about performance versus comfort in the workplace, and, that deal with the CEO and stuff. What do you, in sales specifically? So with Ryan, but Ryan, this is like Ryan's lane. Not only does he know sales, but he's trained probably thousands, maybe 10,000 plus salespeople across the country now. Who knows? This is like his jam. And this is what he not just does professionally, but he's now an expert level. And so we're going to talk performance. We're going to talk sales. But this mindset that you just gave of kind of being intense or winning in all areas, how do you see that applying in sales? Because you and I both know there's a lot of sales training out there that's like, kind of like burn the bridges. You got to be all in, like forget the family. Maybe they don't say it exactly like that, but, kind of like one singular focus, build the pipeline, be obsessed. What's your initial thought based off the conversation we were just having around you as a business owner?
So I'll speak to being a business owner who is selling and as a sales, a propensity to sell as an owner, and then building, like, just more of my experience. Yeah. I think that, and this should apply to anybody who aspires to have a family in sales too, more importantly, more than anything, because there are people who just don't even want a family. Totally fine. Great. You could sell for me too. I would love to have you on my team because you give more hours, right? Yeah. But there's also, at the end of the day, like there's an element of, depends on what you're selling, but what we sell is a transformation. And part of what I've found is that my brand and what builds trust is the total package. Like who I am as a person is what's creating trust, credibility. They respect me or not. So what I'm looking at is, what are any areas of my life that can cause somebody to say, I don't respect that, or I'm not into that. And I think that there are people who are really good at creating lines in the sand and division and like getting, hey, you're all in on me or not on me. You love me or hate me. Yeah. I'm not necessarily one of those, because I don't know. I just haven't found it being a mature thing to do that. You can, it just depends on what battles you want to pick. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's worth it. So I would say, for example, when you are a better version of you, when you are a great husband, you're thoughtful, you're authentic, you're connected to yourself. The spiritual component probably comes out here and there. And I share that often, and sometimes I don't. And it just depends. Yeah. I would say that a lot of my audience, they're looking at me first and figuring out who am I before they're looking to buy, because they're saying, is this guy's culture what I want in my team? Do I want my sales reps looking at this person as somebody I'm saying is a mentor or not? And so you have a few different examples, right? You have really sharp, super slick, ultra aggressive, all in, and maybe they're really successful. They're flashy. They're flexing their watches that they got or whatever it is. And maybe some people are like, I love that. And so now they're like, okay, I want my sales team like that. Or maybe it's their door-to-door, outside, big commission checks, pictures, a lot of like hype. That's another version, right? But then they're cussing like a sailor. You hear about them doing stuff with strip clubs, or like, there's just a lot that goes with some of that culture. And then there's a bunch of different kind of cultures in sales that you can create. Yeah. And so I've found that, like, what I've done is, how do I craft an environment that kind of elevates all the things that I think are really important and emphasize those as part of the brand. And then underneath that, I'm delivering sales processes, time management, tangible skills, asking the right questions, managing your pipeline, knowing how to coach, like overcoming objections. All the things underneath that are important, and they need to line up with what you're trying to create at the top. But what I'm trying to do is what I'm trying to say is, the better version you are of yourself, the more intelligent, thought leadership, humble, well-respected by peers, other people praise you. You don't have to praise yourself. Other people are doing it for you. You don't have to self-promote. Yeah. You should, to promote your services, but sure. If your name gets circled around, what are people saying? And it's not just what everybody's saying. What are the people that matter saying? Yeah. The people with influence and authority in their space. So I just think that those types of things really matter. And like, if I'm sitting there building a relationship with one of the most influential people in my space, or my biggest client I've ever landed, and I'm having a meal with them, like, do they walk away feeling, man, Ryan, or you as a salesperson, whoever it is, what I've been thinking is, are they walking away saying, man, Ryan really, he's genuine. I could tell he really cares. Super cool dude. I'd hang out with him if we lived in the same town. I respect him. I love the way he's leading his life. I'm inspired, but I also don't feel like he's talking down to me. I want to run with this guy. Like, this is the kind of guy I feel challenged and inspired, and I want to just get back. Like, this is the kind of guy I want to run with. Yeah. Like, you could do that without, like you could do that whatever you're selling. Like, that right there. If you show up and you're selfish, you're salesy too hard, you're too aggressive, you're all about you. Yeah. Like, that stuff, you're not going to sell very well. So where I'm going with this is, like, who you are, what you're representing out in the marketplace as a human being does matter a lot. And I think a lot of people in sales cultures, they kind of throw that out and say, that doesn't really matter. It's about volume. It's about obsessiveness. It's about closing. And I'm like, look, I love the focus and the execution of intensity around sales activity. But like, if you are a crappy person, that's not going to help you as well as being an amazing person who is growth minded, has support, crushing it in life. And then you're putting your efforts in the right places. And if you do that you're just going to be way better. And that's kind of what I've been trying to create as a brand, is like transform who you are to the best version of yourself that you can be first, and inside out, you're going to find that you're going to create a ton of value. And so that's just how I've built my career. And, no one's perfect. I've made mistakes, been grown too fast, or didn't service a client the way I should. I mean, there's things I've done wrong, but net, like, the reputation is really important. And if my reputation is he cares about the money more than he cares about people, or he's grabby, or he doesn't, like, dude, that can ruin you, if enough of the right people hear that. And that's just been something I think is more important than anything before you get into sales, is people are following you and they're deciding if they like you and they want you in their culture or not. That's right. And I want to embody something that the best contractor that I serve, contractors in every industry, number one, growth minded, cares about the right things. I want them to say, this is the guy. He's the only guy on the table. Like, he's the only option that I want because of what he's embodying, how he's going to go about it. I trust that. But I don't want somebody coming into my culture and flipping it and turn it into a boiler room that is messing up my customers and making a bad reputation out there. So I think there's a really, really interesting tension and blend of trying to have it all, and executing on that at scale. Yeah. So it takes a lot of wisdom and leadership and discernment to kind of navigate that stuff. Yeah. You post on social. Are you overly political? Are you super divisive? Do you sound like an idiot? Are you complaining? Do you sound like a victim? There's so many things that you can screw up with your brand if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And if you just uphold a high standard, you stay in the lanes that no one's going to point a finger at, you're smashing it, you're building trust. And, and if you have hidden skeletons, go freaking clean them up. Be awesome. Be the best you can. Work through your stuff because your stuff's going to come out, and it's going to come out somewhere. And, at the end of the day, like, time tells who you really are.
Yeah. There's a lot of wisdom in that. I think that you gave a good perspective from not just a business owner. Most listeners here are going to be entrepreneurs, but they might have salespeople on their team. Maybe there's salespeople listening to this as well, but either way, you can create the environment for yourself. I remember when I was just an employee selling things, and even when I was cold calling, like the annoying, phone call that you get repetitively multiple times a day, whether it be a contractor or any other business owner, we know this phone call, and you answer it, and then if the other end sounds different, you're immediately intrigued. And everything that you just said was, why not be different? Why not be whole as a person? Why not just add more value? And so I've, even as a salesperson, not as a business owner, I too have been able to create that environment where the other person, never even seeing me or meeting me, just knew from the brief couple of sentences back and forth, like, this is different. I want to keep talking to this guy. And so,
absolutely. If it comes through in your tonality, your questions, how you ask them, your pauses, the thoughtfulness, like the dropping of rapport to build real connection, like all that stuff can happen just on a phone call in a second. Yeah. And they could tell if you're like authentic, legit, smart, expert, real fast. And you're somebody they're interested in. But if you're, that's a really good point, Chaz.
So I know you train on a lot of this stuff here. I want to stay kind of high level because, the folks that are going to be listening are most likely sales leaders in their own businesses. And so you have a program, not just for salespeople, but for sales leaders, entrepreneurs. You're teaching sales at every single level. So I love this part. I want to talk about building a sales team. You've already talked about different cultures. Give to me, what's the number one skill that an entrepreneur listening right now needs in order to build a sales team?
Yeah, so there's a few different parts of building a team. Clearly, look, if you're building a team, you're in sales because you're selling people on action. Yeah. All that, like taking action in a way that you know is best, and a way that's collaborative and your teammates are working together. So really the recruiting is huge. So being able to recruit, attract the type of people you want representing you. It is amazing. Like if you're a high performer and you see a sales leader owner and this person's not really competent or has a clear path or doesn't seem like they have any attributes that you aspire to have, or you don't believe in where they're going, and like they don't have a vision that's big, the high performer is not interested in you and your company. It's just a fact. They're just not going to sign up. They may think you're cool. They may like you, but they're not going to sign up their family's future on you, bro. Yeah. They're not. Like, so you have to have a vision and a clear a skill to communicate that vision. And you have to have a thoughtful business path, like a thoughtful path for them to achieve that. So like, what is your sales plan, sales compensation? What are your steps? What's your track record? How have you gotten there before? And if you haven't gotten there, you've done it yourself, you sell them on that you did it yourself, right? And you have to sell them on that. So I think recruiting is super important, because I can tell you, when I have high-performing quality teammates representing me, we do better, right? Like at the end of the day, look at it as like a sports team. Like if you're the best 5-star, 4-star high school prospect, you don't want to play at a D3 podunk, Mississippi Central Valley Baptist, type of school. You want to go where you're going to be able to perform at the highest level and make the most money potentially, and maybe have a chance to play professionally, right? Yeah. Think of your little contracting business, your locker room, your training room, your resources, your technology, your upward trajectory, the coaching that they'll get. Think of your little company as a sports brand. And just think, those people that I'm attracting, if I'm in Podunk, Mississippi, I want the most talented dadgum kid out of here that's like got the highest ceiling, that everybody was like knows because they're just Rockstar at everything they do. And I'm going to sell them on making a career here. Yeah. And if you think like that, like what would I need to do to do that, right? What would I need to do that? Well, I would need, after I recruit, I actually have to deliver on what I've sold. You don't want buyer's remorse. So now what do you have? We have a path. We have a training process. We're going to mentor. We're going to coach them. We're going to pay them. Okay. That's a big one. Yeah. You actually got to pay the people. Yeah. So make sure your compensation plan is good. It's a win-win for the company and for the person. What kind of training are you providing? What kind of ongoing coaching are you going to provide? Are you just going to say, hey man, like, let's go. And you do like a few days in the truck, you give them a couple tools and that's it. Are you running sales meetings? Are you doing ongoing coaching? Are you providing any sort of objective feedback that's got an industry standard to up-level them so they know where they're at? Yeah. Like those are the types of things that change the game for a high performer. They're like, okay, it's not just your opinion. This is what the industry says about my performance and my skills. I want to up-level to be one of the best. And then you plug them into communities where they could see themselves amongst peers, and then they're like comparing themselves in like the healthy way. Like, hey, I just want to know what's going on. I want to be good. And then they get inspired, because high performers, when they're a big fish in a small pond, one of two things happen. They get lazy because they're already the alpha, and they don't push themselves anymore. So what do you got to do? Alphas, when they're around other alphas, say, oh shoot, like I'm not the alpha anymore. So I want to be the best. And so they find a different gear. So there's just so many things that you can plug into, create, and like surround yourself with to actually not just attract the teammates. Because I can tell you, building a sales team is easy if you just pick anybody, right? You want to build a high-performing sales team, okay? That's different. And to build a high-performing sales team, you have to have something that's attractive for high performers who already are high performers in life to come into. And that's really important, I have my own stories of like kind of my journey on that. And then I realized, oh, the industry needs this. I'm going to create it when I saw the opportunity. So I started that 10 years ago and really launched it 7.5 years ago, 11 years ago now is when I really originally started. So really where I'm at is you have to have the tools. You have to have the vision to recruit them. You have to onboard them. You have to train them. And if you don't have the time to do it, pay somebody to do it so that they get coached and trained. Because what I've seen too many times is you're good at selling, you can make good money. And then when you hire the person, they didn't work out because you, quite frankly, didn't do nearly enough to support them, to get them up and running and invest in them. So they leave, and you don't really want to go through that again. So you just go back to doing it yourself. And you can do it because you're good at it and you know it. But at the end of the day, you're going to kind of be limited. You may make a lot of money, but you don't have a business yet. You have a high-paying job, and you want a company. You don't want a job. So there's a lot more there. I mean, like CRM, KPIs, call recordings, or regular cold call or coaching. Measuring their compensation against their goal that they set, having their own goal that they set that you track against and you encourage. Peer level environment, like community-based pressure and like learning, so that they're learning from others. Ongoing training with the manufacturers that you represent. CRM, I mean, there's just so much. But if you can get, here's the last thing before we switch. Think about like the sports teams. You'll find that even now, free agents, they'll go somewhere where they know they're going to play well with the teammate that's there. And there's like an anchor teammate. There's a team leader. And like I don't know, like you got LeBron, the Lakers, or whatever it is, or you got Steph Curry, or you got, whatever it may be, Luka, Doncic with the Mavericks, or whatever it may be. They're like, they know. And I have a friend who plays in the major leagues, and he was with the Twins for 2 years after the Royals. And he showed me the locker room after a game. There was 2 teammates, Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton. Those are the 2 big free agents they signed. Byron's a homegrown guy. Carlos Correa, one with the Astros, free agent. They had double wide lockers, only them in the corners. It's their clubhouse. They're not coaches. They're the best players. It's their clubhouse. So here's the beauty of this. If you land one Rockstar and they're on your team and you guys have a partnership, eye to eye, you're bought in, you can find other people, because a new person's going to look at that person and say, either I'm following them or I'm taking them out. And they're going to decide, are they here for it or not?
Yeah.
If you hire somebody very average, you have to like keep finding ways to up level the environment, or else it's going to be average. So a team, like the first hire isn't just their numbers that they're producing. It's the following people that follow them into the organization, because it's going to be success is going to replicate, and it's a lot more complex than just, I just need more salespeople, right? Yeah. There's a ripple effect to the type of salespeople you have, the type of leader that they are, and how it affects your organization.
Yeah, if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, man, that sounds like a lot, good, because it is. That's why companies like Ryan's exist, because it's like a whole mechanism. I've built multiple sales teams, some for some pretty big names, and here's the deal. It is like herding cats, and everything that you just said is not only true, but it's like really, really true. And having an environment of winning sounds, materialistic possibly, but it's like, no. Like this is how, on now switching over here, like personalities, because I'm a psychology personality just junkie. No, this is how winners are designed. If I'm not in an environment with other Ryans, then one of 2 things is going to happen. I'm just going to either cap out because I've won and then that's it, or I'm just never going to even get there, because I don't even know what's possible, because I've just basically quieted my winning spirit. And so you've given so much value in that. The listener should absolutely go back and listen to that little playbook. Let's say, okay, the listener has all of that, the tools, the CRM, the idea of culture, and we're going to crush, we're going to stay high level, we're going to hire amazing people, there's going to be a system, there's going to be training, all the stuff. What is the difference to you between managing a sales team and leading a sales team?
Oh, great question. Well, I've heard this defined as, a manager is somebody you have to follow, a leader is somebody you want to follow. So I love that one. It's just kind of puts a line in the sand, like one. Yeah. When I look at, like, I have a good relationship with my VP of sales. He's a freaking stud. Love him. And we've gone to war for a while, and I'm just grateful for this guy. He can close deals. He can do it all. But like, we have a complementary style. I have a way of getting on the team, getting with the team and inspiring them to be like, let's go. I'm ready to go. Like run through a wall. Yeah. I have that ability that's unique to me. I'm also the founder and the CEO of the company. And so there's a skill set that I possess, that I've developed, but I'm grateful for, that I steward using that. I don't love and enjoy getting into the minutia of the numbers, the call reviews, breaking down where the wheels fell off, the coaching, the analytics, managing the day-to-day support. So I think that there's two different things, and you can be both. You can do both, but there's a sweet partnership whenever there's like complementary skill sets in driving the organization forward. I will never dishonor him in front of the team. I will never. It's like parents. Yeah. You know, you and your wife, you can't cut each other out or disrespect each other's position in front of the kids. The kids are sharp, dude. They'll see that and be like, oh, I'm going to lean into that, And then next thing you know, you're playing mom and dad with. I'm not going to play that game.
Right.
So the way we do it is show community. And we have complementary styles. And I think he can lead well. He's a good leader, really good leader. But he's also managing the team in a way that I am not very good at and I don't want to do. And it's freed me up to do other things to bring more value. So I would say that those are the two main differences. Are you looking at the numbers? Are you making sure the KPIs are updated? Are we tracking against goal? Are we sharing the scoreboards and leaderboards? Are we looking at the reviews? Are we screening the initial candidates? But at the end of the day, they're following my sales leader for sure, and they're following him in the battle. But the team, a good portion of the sales team came from relationships I've had, or they know that I'm at the head.
Sure.
So they're looking at, they're like saying, okay, Ryan's here and he's engaged, and it's like, okay, we're gonna be all right because they've already seen me or seen my success or whatever, and they're like, great, like so. And then the last thing is like, I just want to make this comment. Is that me? The feedback? Sorry. Okay. You know, I think that both managers and leaders, I mean, managers don't have to be the best salesperson in the world, but it is something special when a salesperson, a new one, can ride along with a salesperson, or they can sell together, and the sales leader in the organization, the catalyst, closes deals in front of them, makes it look easy, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like that's awesome. I want to do that. I'm going to get there. So I think it's really important. You know, I am a sales leader still in my company, and I jump on calls, and there's been times where I haven't been on calls for months, and there's times where I jump on calls, but we're always selling. And yeah, it's super fun to see the team say like, let's go. Like that gives them confidence. It juices them up. They're like, we can do this. So those are my two major differences. Leaders inspire, motivate, get people to take action, get them bought into the long term. I think, and then managers make sure that the in between of where they're at and their next vision is being managed, and they're staying on track, and they're accountable, and they're in the weeds.
Yeah, I think you broke that down beautifully. I used to tell people, that I was coaching in past times, specifically around sales, is that sales leaders had to have three components. There's feedback. Got it. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds here. Ryan, I know you get it, but it is hilarious how my house is set up for stuff like this. And then days, it just all falls apart. So you see me do this here with it's because Romy Joe's been screaming for the last 45 minutes, and JC's right outside my window mowing. Why today? I don't know. Okay. Well, I think that's some of the feedback that we're seeing. So, all right, we're going to jump back into that. All right. So yeah, I think that you're a spot right on that. I should say that sales leaders needed three things, which is one, to be able to inspire people, motivate them, get the energy up. And I love that you can provide that to your organization. And I think that a lot of times it does come down to the owner, the founder, the visionary, just bring in the energy, bring the frequency, baby. We got to bring it up, and we got to get excited. That's kind of how salespeople are naturally wired anyway. And if it's a quiet environment, it's probably not going to get many sales, And then the two components of management that you broke down beautifully. One, you've got to be able to track and measure. And then two, we got to be able to have ongoing coaching. We got to continue to improve. Some of those are call recordings. Some of those are, meetings, role playing, all the things that you do with companies. Those three elements are what drive the team. And a good sales leader is going to be able to do all three of those. I love that you have the ability to divide it up a little bit and kind of play on each other's strengths. Because that's the beauty of a real partnership when you have multiple personalities. I think that's pretty special. What would you say is, a person listening right now, maybe they have a sales team, maybe they're thinking about building a sales team. You've just trained and worked with so many in different trades all across the country. You've seen so much. What is the number one thing holding that entrepreneur back? Whether it be from growth or whether it be from like just biting the bullet and saying, okay, fine, let me give someone like Ryan a chance to help me grow in this area. Like, what's on the inside of them or the way that they're thinking that's holding them back?
That's a good question. I mean, I can get a little bit more philosophical or like more, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of it is fear, and a lot of it is this pride and ego. They're like, I can do it better myself. I don't really want to open up myself in the way I think to somebody else and have them tell me how to do it. I've gotten here on my own. I've got it figured out. And I think that there's just like a scarcity mindset or a fear of screwing up. I think it's just fear and pride kind of together. Like, I'm afraid what would happen if it doesn't work, right? Or I'm afraid of, and then there's this pride of like, I can do it myself. And there are some people who can build an amazing sales program themselves. But on average, most cannot, because it's not even that they're incapable. It's really that they just don't have the time or make the time because they're busy. And so, do you want to go learn SEO? Do you want to go learn how to build out a website? Do you want to go learn how to run Google campaigns? Do you want to manage them? Like, do you want to do that? Do you want to do you want to go in the field and swing the hammer? Do you want to go do that? No. Do you want to turn the wrench? No. So it's just like thinking about it as like, well, I have people doing the work that I used to do or that the company does to make money. Great. You delegated that. Okay, cool. What else can you delegate? That will move the needle. Because if you don't have somebody turn the wrench, swing the hammer, using the nail gun, you're not going to move the needle, right? Of course I won't. You got to make money. So you just think of it that way, as like, you either want to do one of three things. And as an entrepreneur, you want to either want to eliminate something, you want to automate something, or you want to delegate something. Elimination, automation, delegation. And so from a developing your sales organization standpoint, do you love it? Are you motivated and energized by it? Do you have the bandwidth for it? Do you want to do that? Do you want to? Great. If you do, great. A lot of folks don't. So like, if you don't, then just delegate it.
Yeah. The harsh reality there, right, is like, but I'm nervous, whether it's going to cost me money or, the frustration of hiring somebody and then letting them go. I think that's kind of an obvious one, especially when it comes to sales, because salespeople just kind of by nature are a little squirrely, and that's what makes them good with personalities and being able to talk with people and face rejection constantly all the time. They got to be a little, like a screw loose, which is like us. I got a couple of screws loose. It's okay. Like I like rejection, a lot of it. Give me more. Inside of, those elements, I guess, you've developed not just like a course, you developed an entire program that really comes around an entrepreneur, not only just elevates them as a leader or their leaders, but really also their team. Talk about this a little bit, because there's a lot of like training options. And you had mentioned this earlier, as far as like the transformation of the individual becoming kind of like a whole person and then being able to sell. And that's like a part of what you do, but you really do come around a business owner where some of those fears and stuff they can let go of, and they can trust someone like you and your team to kind of like help grow that section of their business. But talk about how you do that.
Yeah. So we help come around pretty full scale way, especially in the last couple of years when we just have been able to develop into that as a company and add more value. Yeah. So we have essentially, we assess every organization, we use a system we coined called ATTMO, ATTMO. And that's kind of like our overarching way of building the sales organization, creating an atmosphere of growth in sales. So analyze, train, transform, measure, and optimize. So it's like the feedback loop process. So everybody goes through an analyze phase, and we just go through the basic fundamentals, just like foundation of your company that will affect the sales org's future. Core values, do you have that defined? What's your sales plan? Where are you trying to go? What's your strategic direction? Those are really important components. Is our comp plans aligned? Are we going to need to fix that? Some structural and strategic things. And then depending on the company, so we have commercial sales. So we've helped all kinds of commercial trades, heavily in roofing, grow in service and re-roofing, more private sector sales versus bidding, to get out of the bid world more into the relationship sales world. And then we have residential retail. So any like home service, home improvement, where you're selling projects or installs with a higher ticket, and it needs a sales skill to sell it that's a little bit higher than just like a $200, repair or something, but like you're selling projects. So we have a whole system for those people. And then we have a whole system for door-to-door roofing insurance sales for like, storm event roofing models. Like in the Midwest, it's really heavy. And sometimes down in the Mid-Atlantic and Florida, not the Northeast, not on the West Coast, but like a lot of like Texas and, the Midwest corridor. So that said, we kind of have to fix that, decide that first, and get the plan that company needs. And then we go train on site. We go to their office. We go through a full sales analysis of every sales rep. We go through individual workshop exercises, and we train and coach and role play and introduce a proven sales process. That's the biggest key, is when you have an undefined sales process, that's not something the company can adopt. It's like an offense not having a playbook or a scheme of offensive style that you've adopted. And then everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And it's really hard to scale that and have quality control and have a path to improve people against the standard. So we're big on that. We introduce a sales process. From there, we have one of few options. So every one of our reps goes through the coursework with group coaching with homework over 21 weeks to get STG certified. So they have to go through quizzes and homework to get certified, where they learn the mindset training, they align with our tools, they understand our process and the competencies that our process supports. We've standardized competencies of sales excellence, and they have to grow into those competencies individually. It's like doing an MRI on a salesperson, or like and looking and measuring all the things that make a salesperson great. And we just say, hey, here's where you're weak, here's where you're strong, here's where you're weak. And we move the needle on those through training and coaching, retaking the assessment, and leveling you up as a professional. And that translates into results pretty amazingly. So they go through that at the core level per learning plan. And then we have a few options on the back end. We do ongoing coaching with groups and sales leaders in small groups, where it's more like a peer-to-peer, moving the needle on different initiatives and accountability through peers. We have a one-on-one sales leader coaching, where we help build out the rest of our deliverables and our pillars of our program through the sales leader and coach the sales leader. And then the last one, which is, I think, the most valuable, where we do fractional sales leadership, and we help run your sales meetings in the framework that's proven that we use. We hold your salespeople accountable with you fractionally. We come on site once a month and continue to train and reinforce and work with you guys. So that's a great system, even if you have a sales manager in place, where we can add that third-party industry standard kind of coaching platform to plug into, to have an extra set of eyes. And then we have our live events that we do. We'll have, over the next calendar year, we'll probably have 8 to 10 live events that we host that you're able to come to, that are more boot camp style or workshops or conferences. And so those are just the beginning. We have a few extra like tech tools are rolling out too to help us coach better, but super stoked on just our now ability to cover the country at a high level and deliver a fully supported platform for contractors to grow their sales organizations with. And what's cool is it's not like it used to be like me, like the Ryan Show. Like a lot of my competitors are very personality centric. And I do have a personality, and I do care about putting my name out there, but in the brand and sharing what we're doing. But it's a company. We have a team, and we're all using the systems together, but as a team. So a lot of labor and high touch to do what we do well. And we just decided to go that direction after just enough years of feedback and get the people what they want, man. They need help. They need done for you, done with you at a higher level to get the results that we're looking for. And ultimately, I don't care, man. If the spend is high, but the results are higher, great. If we spend less and get bad results, it's just like a contractor trying to sell really good projects, right? Spend more to do it right the first time. We're kind of at that point where we have the ability for you to spend more to do it right, but it's worth it because you have a lot. It's like amazing what happens when you build a sales org the right way the first time. It is a perpetual, if you manage it, it's a perpetual cash initiative. It'll continue to pump out cash year over year over year. You don't do it right and you don't ever address it, right? It's not gonna generate the cash. So
yeah. From my perspective of building a sales team when I was 21, 2, and 3, and 4, those kind of like 3 or 4 years in corporate America, and you would think even at that scale, and I was one of 15 or 20 sales managers in this office, and probably one of 50 in the entire company. And there was no support. It was like, here are the keys to your Ferrari, this sales team. And I had to figure it out. It was absolutely insane. And so as I continued to get better, I developed my own systems. I developed my own sales process. I developed my own training that I would literally take my own reps through. And it's like, man, if I had the opportunity, or now that I do as an entrepreneur, someone listening right now, listening to you going, oh, like I can just like plug and play this. It almost seems a little bit too good to be true because hardly anybody really is doing this. It's really just kind of fly by the seat of the pants. Like you said, like you're truly trying to sell quality projects. It's the same thing. Like, what would you expect if you're not going to put in the effort to the sales process to actually be able to do it on the back end sustainably? What I was going to say, one of the most important things that I think you talk about on a regular basis, and I don't want to go too deep on this, but you talk about predictable revenue. And a lot of salespeople are like, well, wait a second, I got to go hunt. How is it predictable? And it's like, oh, no. When you know sales and sales process well, and you are an expert, it becomes predictable because I know the inputs, they get the outputs. And so if they don't know, obviously I want them to reach out to you, but give them just a tidbit here, like the quasi, owner who's selling himself, or maybe he's got 3 or 4, 10 sales reps. And he's like, I don't know, like I've just kind of done it myself. Maybe I got a great experience myself. That next level for you to really come around them, it's not just growth. It's like another level of professionalism, them taking the business seriously. Like, what does that look like as far as like labeling the level to you?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, yeah, it's like saying, hey, we're going to become a professional business person, the businessman that happens to do garage doors or seal coating or roofing. And I just say, hey, take that product hat off for a second and put on like, I'm in charge of building a business.
Yeah, CEO.
I'm gonna, what do I need? I mean, we have marketing and brand, we have leads. Sales, project management and fulfillment. We have accounting, we have overall like legal and operations and HR. There's a lot of different things that happen, but like the first thing you should start figuring out is sales, because that's the oxygen of the business. Like cash is like oxygen. So I'm not saying I can fix everybody's problems. Like we don't cover financial modeling and legal, and we don't get into that stuff. But what we get into is helping you build the sales organization from start to as far as you want to go. And you just have to think, I want to be a really great sales organization that cares about our customers, that does the right thing, whatever your core values are, that embraces our core values, the best one we could possibly create. Because I know if I do that, it's going to things will take care of itself. Think of it as sports. It's like, man, we got a great defense. We kill it on the defensive side. Okay, the next draft is coming up. What are we going to do? No, we only won 5 games last year. Okay. It's like, well, I can only get so many safeties and interceptions, pick sixes, right? It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I think we need probably a quarterback or an offensive lineman or, a tight end that's like really great, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, think of it that way is you may, whatever that area you were in, think of yourself as I got to build an offensive unit that kills it. That's just, you got to embrace that. And that's what sales is. We got to be the, like MLB players, the guys who get drafted the highest have bats. They can hit. Okay. Why? Because runs win games, right? So it's just a part of it. It's not everything. It's a major part of your business.
Yeah.
And just think of it that way. It's like, I'm building an organization. I need offense. How do I put up points? Start there.
Yeah.
And just be like, I want to be really good at that. I just want to be really good at that.
If
you
I
just take
that, we can't compete. So I don't, person listening to this is probably not need to be convinced that they need points. However, what I've seen is the stubborn action towards like, not that I need points, but how do I get the points? And that's what I'm hearing you say is like, look, there's just a better way. And I just happen to be a little bit on the no because I've built sales teams. And so everything that you've said here today is just so true. And if they've either experienced it or they haven't yet, they know the frustration of it. Like, because that's what it comes down to it's just incredibly frustrating if you don't have a process, you don't have support, you don't have ongoing things that you're attracting new people, good people, and then being able to develop them so that you can grow the organization. Everything you've shared today is just spot on. I want to ask one more question about the sales training. How do they find you? And then I've got one more question after that. But how can they find you? How can they find Sales Transformation Group? That type of thing.
Yeah, so you can find me I'm on Instagram, Ryan Groth, LinkedIn, and Facebook daily. I don't get on. I have a TikTok, but I don't use it, so don't even try to touch me there. We have a YouTube as well. We have some content up. We're always trying to get better. Our content can get better. So I'm not going to sit there and tell you it's going to blow your mind and look at it forever. But the people who like it or watch it say it's been really helpful and helps them understand what we're about. So take a look at that.
Good.
Our website, salestransformationgroup.com. You can check it out. We're actually overhauling it and right now, and we're changing the URL because that's a really long name to sellonstg.com. So we want people to embrace this as like, oh, we sell on STG because we have a platform for you to sell on. So we're stoked to like kind of make that shift. It's a slight shift, but it's very actionable in the direction that we're headed as a company. Yeah. So if you go to sellonstg.com in some point this year, it probably goes to our website. And if you don't, go to salestransformationgroup.com. We also have roofwarrior.com if you want to just take a quick look at that. It's a small version of one of our programs for door-to-door roofing sales training and leadership training. Those are ways you can get in touch.
I just want to appreciate you for that and highlight that, and want to encourage the listener. Ryan's been a great friend for a long time now, and if you are not on point on your sales team, sales organization, sales thoughts, sales process, and you are a contractor, do not delay. Go to salestransformationgroup.com. I'm 100% serious on this. I get no commission. This is just a good friend of mine that I know does good work. So appreciate you being here, brother. We're going to have so many more conversations. We've been trying to get this one out for years, it seems like, but many more to come. And I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, brother.